Commander Zarthok stood on the bridge of his warship, watching the blue and green planet grow larger on the viewing screen. His forearms crossed over his massive chest as he studied the scan results. The planet was called Kepler 442c by the primitive creatures who had built a small settlement there. Humans. That was what they called themselves. Zarthok had never heard of them before. In his 40 years of service to the Kralix Dominion, he had conquered 17 worlds and brought 12 different species to their knees. These humans would be number 13, an easy victory to add to his record. "Sir, the scans are complete," his tactical officer reported. The younger Kralix warrior looked at his console with barely hidden amusement. The settlement has approximately 200 inhabitants. They have basic mining equipment, some cargo ships, and minimal defensive structures. Zarthok laughed, a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the bridge. 200? And they dare to claim this world? He walked closer to the screen, studying the collection of buildings scattered across a valley between two mountain ranges. What weapons do they possess? Nothing significant, Commander. Some small arms, perhaps mining explosives. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. The tactical officer pulled up more data. The species itself appears weak. They stand upright on two legs, have no natural armor, no claws, and their physical strength is less than half of ours. Another officer spoke up from the communications station. "Commander, we detected their sensor array. They know we are here." "Good," Zarthok said. He gestured with one of his upper arms. "Send them the standard surrender demand. Tell them they have 1 hour to abandon their settlement and leave the planet. The Kralix Dominion claims this world and its resources." The message was sent. Zarthok expected immediate compliance. Most species, when they saw the size of a Kralix fleet, surrendered without firing a single shot. It was the smart choice. The Dominion had conquered 47 different species across 300 worlds. Resistance was foolish. The response came back in less than 10 minutes. A female human face appeared on the screen. She had dark hair pulled back tight, and her eyes were cold as she stared directly at the camera. "I am Commander Elena Vasquez of the Kepler 442c mining outpost," she said. Her voice was calm, too calm for someone facing a war fleet. "You have entered human territory without permission. You have 6 hours to leave this system. This is your only warning." The bridge fell silent. Then one by one the Kralix officers began to laugh. Zarthok laughed the hardest. "A warning from them? Did she just threaten us?" the tactical officer asked, wiping his eyes. "She did," Zarthok said, still chuckling. "These humans have spirit, I will give them that. Stupid but spirited." He turned to his weapons officer. "How long to achieve bombardment position?" 2 hours, Commander." "Excellent. When we arrive, destroy their power generators first. I want them sitting in the dark, afraid when our troops land. Maybe then they will understand their mistake." Zarthok sat back in his command chair. "Prepare the ground forces. 3,000 warriors should be more than enough. Probably overkill for 200 miners, but we will make an example of this place. Other humans will learn not to challenge the Dominion." The fleet moved into orbit. Zarthok could see the settlement more clearly now. The buildings looked solid but simple. There were several large structures that scans identified as warehouses, probably full of the iridium they had been mining. That ore was valuable. It would fetch a good price. He noticed several dome-shaped structures on the ridges surrounding the valley. "What are those?" he asked, pointing. "The scans indicate they are storage facilities or possibly defensive bunkers," the tactical officer said, "but they show minimal energy signatures, likely empty or abandoned." "Target them first," Zarthok ordered. "If they want to hide in bunkers, we will bury them there." The 6 hours passed. The human commander sent no further messages. No ships fled the planet. The settlement remained active, lights on, as if nothing was wrong. "Foolish creatures," Zarthok muttered. "They think we will not follow through with our threat." "All weapons charged and ready, Commander," the weapons officer reported. "Fire." Bright beams of energy lanced down from the orbiting ships. They struck the dome structures on the ridges. Massive explosions bloomed, sending rock and debris flying into the air. Zarthok watched with satisfaction as each target was destroyed. "That will teach them to—" he began, then stopped. His tactical officer was staring at his console, his face confused. "Commander, those structures were empty. The explosions were too large for the size of the buildings. They were decoys filled with explosives." "Decoys?" Zarthok stood up. "Why would miners need decoys? Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Incoming fire!" someone shouted. The ship rocked as something massive struck its shields. Zarthok grabbed his chair to steady himself. "What hit us? Where did it come from?" "The mountains, sir! The mountains are firing at us!" On the viewing screen, Zarthok watched in disbelief as sections of the mountain ridges opened up. They had not been solid rock at all. Hidden beneath camouflage were massive weapons, bigger than anything the scans had detected. Metal projectiles, moving faster than missiles, tore through space. One of his ships exploded as a projectile punched straight through its shields and hull. Another ship tried to maneuver, but 3 more projectiles hit it simultaneously. It split in half, burning as it fell toward the planet. "Evasive action," Zarthok roared. "Return fire. Destroy those weapons!" But the human weapons were already retracting back into the mountains. The fake rock closed over them. When the Kralik ships fired at the positions, they hit only solid stone. The humans had hidden their weapons deep inside the mountains themselves. "Commander, we have lost 3 ships," his tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. "The others are damaged. 3 ships. Gone in less than 2 minutes." Zarthok felt something he had not experienced in many years: fear. "How?" he whispered. "They are just miners." Down in the settlement, the lights remained on, and now more lights were appearing. Not from buildings, but from figures moving through the darkness, hundreds of them, spreading out in organized patterns that Zarthok recognized all too well. Military formations. "Sir," his intelligence officer said quietly, "I am reviewing the data we collected on this outpost. It was established 5 years ago. The official records listed as a civilian mining operation, but..." He paused. "Commander, many of these humans have military designations in their background files. They are listed as retired soldiers." Zarthok stared at the planet below. The human commander's face appeared in his mind. Those cold, calm eyes. The confident warning. She had not been afraid because she had known something he had not. These were not miners, or rather they had not always been miners. "Prepare all ground forces," Zarthok said slowly. His pride was wounded, but he was not defeated. "We still outnumber them 15 to 1. Our warriors are stronger, better armed, and better trained. We will crush them on the ground where they cannot hide behind mountains and tricks." But even as he gave the order, a small voice in the back of his mind whispered a question he did not want to answer. What else had the scans missed? The dropships fell through the atmosphere like burning meteors. Inside one of them, War Leader Krath checked his plasma rifle for the 3rd time. Around him, 50 Kralix warriors prepared for battle. They were the best fighters in the Dominion, each one standing over 7 feet tall with thick armored skin and 4 powerful arms. Krath had fought in 32 ground battles. He had never lost. "Listen up," he growled to his squad. "These humans are small and weak. They surprised our ships with hidden weapons, but on the ground we are superior. Stay in formation. Advance steadily. Show them what real warriors look like." The warriors roared in agreement, slamming their weapons against their chests. The dropship landed hard in a canyon 2 miles from the human settlement. The rear door exploded open, and Krath led his warriors out into the rocky terrain. The planet's sun was setting, casting long shadows between the canyon walls. 12 more dropships landed nearby, unloading more troops. 3,000 Kralix warriors assembled in the canyon, ready to march on the settlement. They would attack in overwhelming force, crush any resistance, and take the valuable mining equipment intact. Commander Zarthok's voice came through Krath's communicator. "All units advance. Destroy any humans who resist. Take prisoners if possible for questioning. Show them the price of defiance." Krath raised his rifle and gestured forward. His warriors began marching through the canyon in organized columns. The canyon was narrow with high walls on both sides, but it was the fastest route to the settlement. Speed was important. The humans might try to flee if given too much time. They had marched for 10 minutes when the canyon exploded. The blast came from everywhere at once. The cliff walls erupted in fire and flying rock. Massive chunks of stone fell from above, crushing warriors beneath tons of weight. Krath was thrown to the ground by the shock wave. His ears rang. Smoke and dust filled the air, making it impossible to see. "Ambush!" someone screamed. Through the chaos, Krath heard a new sound. Sharp cracks like branches breaking, but faster. Metal whined as it ricocheted off stone. Warriors around him jerked and fell, holes appearing in their armor. Gunfire. The humans were shooting at them. But from where? Krath scrambled behind a boulder. and activated his helmet's scanning system. The thermal display showed heat signatures scattered across the canyon walls. Small signatures, human-sized, positioned in crevices and behind rocks. They were above the Kralix forces shooting down. "Return fire," Krath ordered. His warriors began shooting at the canyon walls, plasma bolts lighting up the darkness, but the humans kept moving, disappearing from one position and appearing in another. They were fast and knew the terrain perfectly. Another explosion rocked the canyon floor. More warriors fell. Krath realized with growing horror that the humans had planted explosives throughout the entire area. They had turned the canyon into a killing zone. "Fall back," he shouted into his communicator. "Fall back to the landing zone." But when his warriors turned to retreat, they found the path blocked. More explosions had collapsed the canyon behind them. Huge boulders blocked the way they had come. They were trapped. Krath's communicator crackled with panicked voices from other units. "We are under attack from all sides. They are in the rocks. I cannot see them. Squad 7 is gone. They are all gone." Krath looked around frantically. His 50 warriors were down to 30, and he still had not seen a single human body. The enemy was invisible, striking from the darkness like ghosts. Then he saw movement. A figure in dark clothing rose from behind a rock ledge 50 feet above. It was a human, smaller than any Kralix, holding a long rifle. For a brief moment their eyes met. The human smiled. Then the figure disappeared, and 3 more of Krath's warriors fell with precision shots to their heads. "They are hunters," Krath whispered. "We are the prey." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 2 hours. By the time Krath and the survivors fought their way back to the landing zone, over 500 Kralix warriors were dead or missing. The humans had lost none. Not one body was found. Not one enemy casualty confirmed. Commander Zarthok stared at the casualty reports in disbelief. 500 warriors lost in the first engagement. This was impossible. These were supposed to be miners, civilians playing at being soldiers. "Get me a communication channel to the human commander," he demanded. Elena Vasquez appeared on the screen again. She was standing in what looked like a control room. Behind her, Zarthok could see other humans working at computers, monitoring displays. They all looked calm, professional, like they had done this before. "Commander Zarthok," Vasquez said pleasantly. "I assume you are calling to accept our warning and leave the system?" "What are you?" Zarthok asked. "You are not miners." "Oh, we are absolutely miners," Vasquez replied. She held up a piece of ore. "See, we mine iridium. Very good at it, too. We have quotas to meet and everything. You killed 500 of my warriors. You invaded our home," Vasquez said, and her pleasant tone vanished. Her eyes went cold again. "You shot at our settlement. You sent soldiers to kill us. What did you expect would happen?" Zarthok leaned forward. "We still outnumber you 10 to 1. We have superior weapons, armor, and strength. You cannot win this fight." "Then why are you talking to me instead of attacking?" Vasquez asked. The question hung in the air. Zarthok had no answer. He was talking because he was afraid. Afraid of what these small, weak creatures could do. They fought like nothing he had ever encountered. No honor, no formations, no rules. Just efficient killing. "Last chance," Vasquez said. "Leave now. Take your ships and go. You can tell your superiors you found the planet empty. No one has to know what happened here." "The Kralix Dominion does not retreat," Zarthok said. "Fine," Vasquez replied. She reached forward and cut the communication. Zarthok sat back in his chair. His tactical officer waited for orders. "Commit everything," Zarthok finally said. "All remaining forces. Heavy armor, war beast, orbital support. I want every warrior we have on the ground. Sweep through that settlement building by building. These humans want to fight? We will give them a war they cannot survive." The tactical officer hesitated. "Sir, perhaps we should request reinforcements from the Dominion. These humans are more dangerous than—" "No!" Zarthok slammed his fist on the armrest. "We will not report this disaster to the Dominion. We will not become a laughingstock. We will crush these humans and no one will ever know we struggled." The officer nodded and began issuing orders. Down on the planet, Elena Vasquez watched the Kralix ships repositioning for another assault. Around her, the men and women of the Outpost prepared their defenses. Most of them were in their 40s or 50s, old for soldiers. But they had fought in the Terran-Xyloth War, a brutal 10-year conflict that had tested humanity to its limits. They had retired to this mining outpost looking for peace and quiet. They had hoped to never fight again, but when the Kralix had refused to leave, something had awakened in all of them. Old instincts, old training, old anger at aliens who thought humans were weak. "Colonel," one of the veterans said, using Vasquez's old military rank, "they are bringing everything down. 2,000 plus warriors, armor, and heavy weapons." Vasquez nodded. "Good. The more they send, the fewer go home." She turned to her team. "Activate Protocol Crucible. Let them into the tunnels. Let them think they are winning. And then?" the veteran asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then we show them what happens when you hunt humans in the dark," Vasquez said. Outside, the Kralix warriors began their advance again, confident that their superior numbers would overwhelm the enemy. They had no idea that every step they took brought them closer to a nightmare. The humans had turned their entire mining complex into a weapon, and they were about to use it. War Leader Krath stood at the entrance to the mining tunnel, looking into the darkness. His forces had finally pushed through the human defenses and reached the settlement. The surface battle had cost another 300 warriors, but they had made it. Now they would go underground and dig the humans out of their holes. Behind him, 1,000 Kralix warriors waited with weapons ready. They had brought heavy armor suits, war beasts that looked like massive armored wolves, and enough firepower to level a city. This time there would be no ambushes, no surprises. "Activate your lights," Krath ordered. "Move in combat formation. Check every tunnel, every room. The humans are in here somewhere." The warriors entered the tunnels. The passages were wide enough for mining vehicles with metal support beams every few feet. Electric lights hung from the ceiling, but many were broken or flickering. The air smelled of rock dust and machinery oil. Krath's force split into groups, each taking a different tunnel. They moved carefully, scanning for threats. The tunnels went deep into the mountain, branching in multiple directions. It was a maze down here. After 10 minutes of searching, they found the first bodies. A squad of 20 Kralix warriors lay scattered across a large chamber. Their armor was torn apart, and burn marks covered the walls. But there were no human bodies, no sign of what had killed them. "What happened here?" one of Krath's warriors asked nervously. Before Krath could answer, the lights went out. Complete darkness swallowed the tunnel. Krath activated his helmet's night vision, but it showed only shades of green and black. His thermal sensors picked up the heat signatures of his own warriors, but nothing else. Then he heard the sound. A soft click, like a switch being thrown. The explosion came from behind them. The tunnel entrance collapsed in a roar of falling rock and twisted metal. Tons of stone sealed the exit. They were trapped underground. "Find another way out," Krath shouted. "Keep moving forward." His warriors rushed deeper into the tunnels, but the passages kept collapsing behind them. Someone was triggering explosives, herding them like animals into a pen. Krath realized too late that the humans had not been driven into these tunnels. They had let the Kralix enter on purpose. The first warrior died without a sound. Krath turned at the thud of a body hitting the ground. One of his soldiers lay motionless, a small hole in the back of his helmet. Then another warrior fell. And another. "Contact! Contact!" someone screamed, firing wildly into the darkness. But there was nothing to shoot at. The humans were invisible in the black tunnels. Krath's night vision showed nothing. His thermal sensors showed nothing. It was as if the humans were not even there. Another warrior fell. The Kralix bunched together, scared now, firing at shadows. The war beasts snarled and snapped at the air, unable to find an enemy to attack. Then Krath saw them. Brief flashes of movement revealed only when they wanted to be seen. Figures in the darkness wearing strange masks over their faces. They moved silently, positioning themselves with precision. And they were everywhere. A human appeared right in front of Krath, emerging from a side passage he had not noticed. The figure was small, wearing dark clothing and strange goggles that glowed faintly green. Before Krath could raise his weapon, the human fired 3 times. 3 warriors fell. Krath swung his rifle toward the human, but the figure was already gone, vanished into a maintenance shaft. "They can see in the dark," Krath shouted into his communicator. "They are using some kind of vision equipment. We are blind down here." No response came. The communicator was filled with static. The humans had jammed their signals or the rock was too thick. Either way, Krath could not call for help. His force of 1,000 warriors was now down to 700, and they had not killed a single human. The tunnels seemed to shift and change. Passages that had been open suddenly became dead ends. New paths appeared where solid walls had been moments before. Krath realized the humans had designed these tunnels as a trap. False walls, hidden doors, pre-positioned explosives. The entire complex was a weapon. A hissing sound filled the air. Krath's helmet sensors began screaming warnings. Gas. The humans were pumping gas into the tunnels. Masks. Seal your suits, Krath ordered. But many of the younger warriors panicked. They ran, trying to escape the spreading cloud. They ran into dead ends, into collapsed tunnels, into ambushes where humans waited with weapons ready. The disciplined formation fell apart into chaos. Krath found himself alone with only 5 other warriors. They had become separated from the main force during the retreat. He could hear fighting echoing through the tunnels around them, but he could not tell which direction it came from. A soft voice spoke from the darkness. It was speaking the Kralix language, heavily accented but understandable. You should have left when you had the chance. Krath spun, trying to locate the speaker. His warriors aimed their weapons in all directions, but the tunnels remained empty. We gave you 6 hours, the voice continued. It sounded female, calm and patient. We warned you, but you came anyway. You thought we were weak. Show yourself, coward, Krath roared. Fight with honor. A low laugh echoed through the tunnel. Honor? You came to kill miners, to steal our home, to murder people who just wanted to be left alone. And you talk about honor? 3 more figures appeared in the darkness behind Krath's warriors. They moved like smoke, like shadows that had learned to walk. Each one fired once. 3 of Krath's warriors fell. The 2 remaining warriors broke and ran. Krath heard their screams fade into the distance, then go silent. He was alone. You are war leader, Krath, the voice said. Your file says you have never lost a battle. 32 victories. How do you know my name? Krath demanded. We hacked your communication systems an hour ago, the voice replied. We know everything about your fleet. We have been listening to Commander Zarthok crying to his officers. He is very upset about the casualties. A figure stepped into view. It was the human commander, the woman from the communications, Elena Vasquez. She held a small pistol in one hand and walked toward Krath without fear. You are going to kill me, Krath said. Yes, Vasquez replied simply. Why tell me this? Why reveal yourself? Vasquez stopped a few feet away. Even in his armored suit, Krath towered over her. He could easily kill her with his bare hands. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the complete lack of fear in her eyes. Maybe it was the certainty that if he tried, he would be dead before he touched her. Because I want you to understand something, Vasquez said. We did not ask for this fight. We tried to warn you. We gave you every chance to leave peacefully, but you came anyway because you thought we were prey. She raised her pistol and pointed it at Krath's head. You were wrong. We are not prey. We are humans. And we do not lose. The shot echoed through the tunnels. High above in orbit, Commander Zarthok watched his casualty list grow. Over 1,400 warriors were gone. Only a few hundred remained scattered throughout the tunnels fighting for their lives. His ships had tried to provide support, but every time they fired on the mountain, they hit only rock. The humans had gone so deep that orbital bombardment was useless. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the surface, his communications officer said quietly. From who? The humans. They are broadcasting on all frequencies. The viewing screen activated. Elena Vasquez appeared again, but this time she was standing in one of the tunnel chambers. Behind her, Zarthok could see dozens of captured Kralix weapons stacked against the walls like trophies. Commander Zarthok, she said, your ground forces have been neutralized. Your casualties are 92%. You have approximately 200 warriors left alive and they are surrounded. I am offering you one final chance. Order your remaining forces to surrender and I will allow them to return to your ships. You can leave this system, and we will never speak of this again. Zarthok felt his blood run cold. 92% casualties. Against 200 humans, it was impossible. It was humiliating. It would end his career and bring shame to his entire clan. "What guarantee do I have that you will keep your word?" he asked. "None," Vasquez said. "But I have kept my word so far. I warned you 6 hours before you attacked. I told you to leave. You did not. Everything that has happened is because you chose to ignore that warning." Zarthok stared at the human commander. She had beaten him completely. His superior numbers, his better weapons, his stronger warriors. None of it had mattered. "I need time to think," he said finally. "You have 10 minutes, Vasquez replied. "After that, we stop being merciful." The screen went dark. Commander Zarthok stared at the empty screen for a long moment. Around him, his bridge crew waited silently for orders. 10 minutes. The human had given him 10 minutes to decide between surrender and total destruction. Pride warred with survival instinct. If he surrendered, he would return to the Dominion in disgrace. But if he kept fighting, his entire fleet would die on this miserable planet. 200 humans had destroyed an invasion force of 3,000 warriors. What could they do to his remaining ships? "Sir, we should accept the offer," his tactical officer said quietly. "We can regroup. Request a proper invasion fleet from the Dominion. We were simply unprepared for—" "Unprepared?" Zarthok roared. "We brought 12 warships and 3,000 of our best warriors. How were we unprepared?" No one answered. The truth was obvious but shameful. They had underestimated the enemy completely. Zarthok made his decision. "Order the surviving ground forces to fall back to extraction points. We are leaving this cursed world, but—" He leaned forward. "Before we go, I want you to download everything from our ship computers. Every scan, every battle recording, every casualty report. We will not report this disaster to the Dominion High Command, but we will study these humans. Learn from this mistake." The tactical officer nodded and began working. What Zarthok did not know was that this action had just sealed his fate. Deep in the human outpost's computer center, a specialist named Marcus Chen watched his screens with growing concern. He had been monitoring the Kralix communication network since the battle began, and now he saw something that made his blood run cold. "Colonel, we have a problem," he called out. Elena Vasquez walked over to his station. "What is it?" "The Kralix are downloading all their data about us. Combat recordings, scan results, everything. They are preparing to leave, but they are taking information with them." Vasquez's expression hardened. "How much do they know?" Chen pulled up the data. "Everything. Our tactics, our weapons capabilities, our numbers. If they take this back to their Dominion, every alien empire in this sector will know how we fight. They will know our weaknesses. Can you stop the download?" "Already did. I corrupted their files 30 seconds ago. But Commander, they have already seen too much. If even one of them gets home, they will talk. They will tell stories. Other aliens will come looking for us prepared this time." Vasquez was quiet for a moment. Then she reached for the communication panel and opened a channel to the Outpost's command staff. 12 faces appeared on the screen, all veterans from the Terran-Xyloth War. "Situation update," Vasquez said calmly. "The Kralix have gathered detailed intelligence on our capabilities. If they return to their territory, they will share this information. More attacks will come with better preparation. The question before us is simple. Do we let them leave or do we ensure there are no witnesses?" The faces on the screen looked back at her. They all understood what she was really asking. Could they kill every single Kralix, leaving no survivors? Could they cross that line? A grizzled man with gray hair spoke first. His name was Rodriguez, and he had been a Special Forces colonel. "These aliens came to kill us and take our home. They showed no mercy. I say we show them the same courtesy. No witnesses means no revenge. No witnesses means we can keep living in peace." One by one, the others nodded in agreement. Vasquez took a deep breath. "Then we proceed with Protocol Ragnarok. Marcus, activate all contingencies. I want every Kralix in this system dead within the hour. No survivors. No evidence." "Yes, Colonel," Chen said. His fingers flew across his keyboard. In orbit, Commander Zarthok was preparing to order the retreat when his sensors officer gasped. "Sir, we are detecting a new contact. A ship just appeared at the edge of the system." "What?" Zarthok jumped to his feet. "How did it get past our sensors?" "I do not know, sir. It is a human vessel, frigate class. But the signature is strange. It is like it was invisible until now. On the viewing screen, a sleek ship appeared. It was smaller than any of the Kralix warships, painted matte black with no visible markings. It had been hiding in the system the entire time, cloaked somehow. Zarthok felt ice spread through his chest. It has been watching us. The whole time it has been watching. Sir, it is launching weapons. Multiple contacts incoming. Small objects erupted from the human frigate, dozens of them spreading out in all directions. Zarthok recognized them from his military training. Hunter-killer drones, automated weapons designed to track and destroy ships. Evasive maneuvers, target that frigate and fire all weapons. The Kralix ships opened fire, but the human vessel was already moving. It dodged with impossible agility, its engines flaring bright blue. The hunter-killer drones reached the first Kralix ship and attached to its hull like parasites. Small explosions rippled across the ship's surface as the drones destroyed critical systems. Hull breaches on all decks. Engine failure. We are drifting. Another ship suffered the same fate. The drones were precise, targeting engines and weapon systems. They did not try to destroy the ships completely. They simply crippled them, leaving them floating helpless in space. Zarthok watched his fleet fall apart. Ship after ship went dark as the drones disabled them. His own vessel shuddered as several drones attached to the hull. Engines offline. Weapons offline! Life support failing. Send a distress signal, Zarthok ordered. Get a message to the Dominion. Tell them, communication systems destroyed, sir. The drones hit them first. The human frigate glided through the battlefield like a predator among wounded prey. It did not waste ammunition. It simply waited as the disabled Kralix ships drifted. Unable to fight, unable to flee, unable to call for help. On the ground, the remaining Kralix warriors received no orders to retreat, because no orders could reach them. They fought on in the darkness of the tunnels, dying one by one as the humans closed in. The last warrior was a young soldier named Reth. He had only joined the military 6 months ago. This was his first campaign. He crouched behind a mining vehicle listening to the silence. He had not heard anyone else for almost an hour. No gunfire, no voices, no movement. He was alone. A light appeared at the end of the tunnel. A bright, harsh light that made him squint after so long in darkness. A figure walked into the light, silhouetted against the glow. A human, please, Reth said in broken human language. Please, I surrender. I do not want to fight. The human walked closer. It was an older man with scars on his face and eyes that had seen too much death. He looked at Reth with something like pity. I know, kid, the man said, but you should not have come here. The shot was quick and clean. Commander Zarthok floated in the command chair of his dead ship. Emergency lights cast everything in red. The life support was failing. In an hour, maybe 2, he would suffocate. Through the viewing port, he could see the human frigate slowly moving from ship to ship. It was firing precise shots targeting the power cores. One by one, the Kralix warships exploded in silent bursts of flame. They were destroying everything, leaving no evidence, no wreckage that could be salvaged. They were erasing the entire fleet from existence. Zarthok understood now. The humans had never intended to let them leave. From the moment the Kralix had ignored the warning, from the moment they had fired the first shot, their fate had been sealed. His communication panel crackled with static, then cleared. Elena Vasquez's face appeared one last time. Commander Zarthok, she said, I want you to understand something before you die. We tried to avoid this. We gave you every chance, but you came to our home with weapons and threats. You tried to take what was ours. You hurt our people. Zarthok said nothing. What could he say? In human history there is a saying, Vasquez continued. If you come for the king, you best not miss. You came for us, Commander, and you missed. The screen went dark. Zarthok sat in the dying ship and waited for the end. His last thought was not of glory or honor. It was a simple wish that he could send one message back to the Dominion. Stay away from the humans. They are death itself. Then the human frigate fired, and Commander Zarthok and his flagship ceased to exist. 3 weeks passed after the battle. The Kepler 442C mining outpost returned to its normal routine. Workers extracted iridium ore from the mountains. Cargo ships came and went on their regular schedules. The settlement looked peaceful and ordinary, exactly like any other civilian mining operation, deep in space. At the Kralix Dominion's military headquarters, High Commander Vexrin studied a holographic display, showing the last known position of Commander Zarthok's fleet. 12 warships and 3,000 warriors. All gone silent. How long since last contact? Vexrin asked. 21 days, High Commander, his aide replied. The fleet was assigned to investigate a mining settlement in the frontier sectors. They reported finding a small human presence and were preparing to claim the planet. Then nothing. Technical failure? Unlikely. For all 12 ships to lose communication simultaneously? And no distress signals, no automated beacons, nothing. The aide pulled up more data. We have sent 3 reconnaissance probes to the system. The first 2 never reported back. Vexrin's 4 eyes narrowed. And the third? It arrived this morning. The data just came through. The aide activated a recording. The probe's camera showed the blue and green planet called Kepler 442c. It looked unchanged, peaceful even. The probe descended into orbit and began scanning the surface. The mining settlement appeared on screen. Buildings intact, lights on. Workers could be seen moving between structures. The probe focused on the settlement's communication array and intercepted a transmission. A female human face appeared, smiling pleasantly. She was speaking into a camera, recording a message. Hello, this is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Kepler 442c mining outpost. If you are receiving this message, you are probably looking for a Kralix military fleet that was supposed to be in this area. We have not seen any Kralix vessels. Perhaps they went to the wrong system? Space is very big, after all. Easy to get lost. Anyway, we are just simple miners here. Nothing interesting happening. Have a great day. The recording ended. The probe completed its scan of the system. No debris fields. No wreckage. No signs of battle. Nothing to indicate that 12 warships had ever been there. High Commander Vexrin watched the recording 3 times. The human woman's smile never reached her eyes. Analysis? He demanded. Sir, the surface scans show no anomalies. The settlement matches all previous intelligence reports. 200 inhabitants, standard mining equipment, minimal defenses, but... The aide hesitated. Speak. Sir, our geologists reviewed the terrain scans. There are inconsistencies in the mountain formations, large hollow spaces that could be hidden facilities. And the ore extraction rates do not match the size of the mining equipment we can see. They should be producing much less than they are. Vexrin walked closer to the holographic display, studying the innocent-looking settlement. Somewhere down there, 3,000 Kralix warriors had vanished. Somewhere down there, a secret waited. What do we know about these humans? Vexrin asked. The aide pulled up files. Limited information. They are a relatively new species to this sector. They fought a major war against the Xyloth Empire about 15 years ago. According to Xyloth records before their government collapsed, the humans were extremely dangerous opponents. Unpredictable, adaptable, and absolutely ruthless when threatened. The Xyloth collapsed? Yes, sir. The war ended with a negotiated peace, but the Xyloth Empire never recovered. Economic collapse followed by civil wars. Some of their surviving leaders claimed the humans broke them intentionally, made them destroy themselves from within, but these are unverified claims from a defeated enemy. Vexrin studied the smiling human face frozen on the screen. Send a full battle fleet to investigate. 40 ships minimum. If the humans are hiding something, we will find it and crush it. The aide looked uncomfortable. Sir, I must advise against that course of action. Why? Because of what happened to our fleet, sir. We do not know what destroyed it. We have no survivors, no data, no intelligence. Sending more ships without understanding the threat would be... The aide searched for the right word. Unwise. Are you saying we should do nothing? Let this insult stand? I am saying we should be cautious, High Commander. We are not the only ones watching. 6 other alien governments have detected our probe activity in that system. They are curious about what happened. If we send a massive fleet and it also disappears... The aide let the implication hang in the air. Vexrin understood. The Kralix Dominion's power came from its reputation for invincibility. If word spread that a small human settlement had destroyed a fleet, other species might question that reputation. Worse, if a second fleet also vanished, it would look like the Kralix were afraid. What do you recommend? Vexrin asked quietly. Mark the system as restricted territory. Avoid human space until we have better intelligence. Send covert observers, not military vessels. Learn more before we act. The aide pulled up a star chart. Sir, humans currently occupy 47 systems in this sector. If even a fraction of their settlements are like this one, we cannot afford a war with them. Not yet. Vexrin stared at the star chart for a long moment. 47 systems. How many hidden weapons did they have? How many veterans pretending to be miners or farmers or merchants? Very well, he said finally. Mark human territory as level 5 threat. All Kralix vessels are to maintain a minimum distance of 10 light-years from human systems. No contact, no provocation. Authorize Intelligence Division to begin deep reconnaissance. I want to know everything about these creatures, the aide bowed. It will be done, High Commander. As the aide left, Vexrin looked once more at Elena Vasquez's frozen smile. He whispered to the empty room, "What are you?" On Kepler 442c, deep beneath the settlement. Elena Vasquez stood in a secured chamber. The walls were lined with captured Kralix weapons, armor, and equipment. In the center of the room, a holographic projector displayed a slowly rotating image of Commander Zarthok's flagship exploding. Around her, the veterans of the Outpost stood silently. They looked at the trophies without pride or joy. They had done what was necessary, but there was no glory in it. Just tired soldiers who had been forced to kill again. Report status, Vasquez said. Marcus Chen stepped forward with a data pad. All evidence has been disposed of. Kralix bodies were incinerated and the ashes were scattered in the deep mining shafts, then collapsed. Ship debris was collected, melted down and mixed with regular ore shipments. No trace remains. The probe found nothing because there is nothing to find. What about their communications? Any chance they sent messages before we jammed them? None. We controlled their network from the moment they entered the system. Every transmission was intercepted or corrupted. As far as the Kralix Dominion knows, their fleet simply vanished. Vasquez nodded slowly. And our connection to Earth Command? Secure. We sent them a full report. They are pleased with the outcome. They are also sending a quantum communication relay so we can coordinate with other outposts in real time. Chen paused. Colonel, there are 53 more settlements like ours across the frontier, all staffed with veterans, all heavily armed. Earth Command is calling us the Quiet Guard, the first line of defense that nobody knows exists. Let's keep it that way, Vasquez said. She looked at the faces around her. Listen up. What we did here stays here. No war stories, no bragging, no records beyond the classified report. As far as the galaxy knows, we are just miners. Boring, harmless, forgettable miners. Rodriguez, the gray-haired veteran, spoke up. You think more will come? Eventually, Vasquez said. But not soon. We made them afraid. They will watch us from a distance, trying to understand what happened. That fear will buy us time. Time to prepare. Time to build. Time to make sure the next group that threatens a human settlement regrets it even more than these ones did. She walked to a viewing port that looked out over the mining facility. Above ground, workers were loading ore onto a transport ship. Everything looked normal, peaceful. We came out here looking for a quiet life, Vasquez continued. We did our service, fought our wars, and we wanted peace. But the galaxy doesn't care what we want, so we make them understand. Leave humans alone, and we are the best neighbors you could ask for. Peaceful, friendly, fair in our dealings. She turned back to her team, her eyes hard. But threaten us, attack us, try to take what is ours, then we show them what we really are, not prey, not victims, survivors, warriors, humans. The veterans nodded. They understood. They had all hoped their fighting days were over. But if the galaxy wanted war, they would give it to them, one outpost at a time, one alien fleet at a time, until every species in the sector learned the most important rule about humanity. Leave us alone and we will leave you alone. But come looking for trouble and you will find more than you can handle. Marcus Chen pulled up a new report on his data pad. Colonel, we are getting updates from other outposts. 3 more alien species have been spotted near human territory in the past week. They are watching us now, trying to figure out what we are. Vasquez smiled slightly. Let them watch. Let them wonder. The fear of the unknown is often more effective than the truth. As long as they stay on their side of the border, we have no problem. And if they don't stay on their side,